x squared minus p over 3x equals h, and saying in the quadratic equation above, p and h are constants, were the solutions for x. Common problem on the tough side of the SAT, so it's definitely a level 5. Keep in mind, if you get stuck on a problem like this, skip it. Skip it, don't waste all your time on it. But I don't think this problem, it's a tough problem, that's for sure, but I think it's solvable. I think it's doable, and I think most of you guys, if you practice this enough, can definitely get this problem. So let's get started. I'm gonna write down my quadratic formula. I like writing this down, having it in front of me, especially on test day, just so I don't make any careless mistakes and I can throw my A, B, and C's right in there. And keep in mind I have ax squared plus bx plus c. Right, so over here, what I'm going to do is I want this to be an ax squared plus bx plus c kind of format. So I'm going to bring the h over to this side. So it'll be x squared minus p over 3x minus h equals 0. So see how that's my a, which will be that imaginary one that's there. My b would be negative p over 3, because my b is whatever's in front of that x is my b, and my c would over here would be the whatever is in the n, which in this case happens to be negative h. So let's keep a running list. A is equal to 1, b is equal to negative p over 3, and finally c equals negative h. And then I'm going to take these a value, the b value, and the c value and plug it right into that equation and solve for it. But here's a little bit of a trick and a strategy for the SAT. If you have a, b, or c in a fraction form, multiply the whole equation so you get rid of that fraction. It'll make life 20 times easier, I'm telling you. So see how b is a fraction, negative p over 3? I really want to multiply this whole thing by something so it cancels the fraction out. So negative p over 3, I'm going to give you an example over here. There's an imaginary 1 there, so there's really negative 1 over 3. So the fraction that I'm trying to get rid of is negative 1 over 3. So I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal or negative 3, or just 3. Because if I multiply this 1/3 by 3, it gives me 1. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 3. And if I do that, I get this. 3x squared minus 1 over 3 times 3 is just 1. Minus 1x minus 3h, and then 3 times 0 is just 0. And now it changes a couple things for me. Now my new a is 3. My new b now is negative 1. Sorry, I forgot that p. That p is still going to be there. Negative 1 px. So my new now my new b is going to be negative 1p, and my c is going to be negative 3h. So let's take that over here. And if you don't trust me why it makes it easier, try plugging these numbers into the formula and see what happens. It'll make life a lot tougher. So a equals 3, b equals negative 1p, and c equals negative 3h. Now you might be asking yourself, why is it not just negative 3, my value of c? C is whatever's at the end, that whole thing. So over here, the negative 3h, that whole thing is your c. So a is 3, b is negative 1p, and c is negative 3h. So now let's plug it back into that formula. So negative 1p plus or minus square root of b squared, which would be negative 1p squared minus 4ac. 4 times 3 times negative 3h, all over 2a, or 2 times 3. So negative 1p, that just cancels out. Now I'm just going to write that down as just p. Plus or minus negative p squared is just going to be p squared. And negative 4 times 3 will be negative 12. Negative 12 times negative 3h will be positive 36h. And then all of this will be over 6. I can't forget that square root sign. This 6 is dividing this p by 6 and is dividing this whole expression by 6 as well. So I'm going to write it out separately. So it'll be p over 6 plus or minus square root of p squared plus 36h over 6. And if I look at the answer choices, answer choice A matches up. Right there. Answer choice A matches up, making my answer A. On a scale of 1 to 5, this problem is definitely level 5. Make sure you understand why I multiplied that by 3. I tried my best to make it as clear as I could. That 3, if I multiply it over here, it gets rid of that fraction. So if I have that A, B, and C, instead of plugging, I could have plugged these in too, but it would have made this thing very, very messy. So if I have a fraction, I usually try to multiply by a number so it gets rid of that fraction. When I multiply negative 1 over 3p by 3, it just gives me negative 1p. And that makes my life a lot easier. So keep that strategy in mind. But for the SAT, I've seen this problem pop up a decent amount of time. I think it'll definitely help.